Hello friends, this video is going to be quite specific on the topic of the system of human design and its importance in this year of 2020. I've really been in the deep end of human design exploration. I've been doing readings now for a little time, very consistently, because it's so new for so many, and so many individuals are willing to deepen into the clarity of what human design can present, and also getting the intuitive read from someone who can perceive and intertwine these kind of logical and more intuitive factions of how we come into recognizing aspects of ourselves and how we come into accepting aspects of ourselves. If there's one thing that I feel human design really gives the opportunity for someone to do, is to really accept the full spectrum of themselves, coming to a real release of the overwhelm of self-judgment, of lack of confidence and self-esteem, and just a lack of clarity of who one feels they are due to the nature of so many maybe influences from the outside, conditioning, education from parents, teacher, friends, and just the overall environments we find ourselves in, where in observing so many in doing these human design readings, we could see that all the aspects of what human design represents and presents is very much the reality for so many people, in the sense that this is you on paper. So you are, of course, already you. It's not something you're needing to become. But what tends to occur is that there is a fog, or there is a self-denial, or there is a lack of acceptance filled with self-judgment of certain aspects of oneself that maybe others, or through conditioning, society, traumas, have kind of created the illusion that one is not supposed to be themselves. And they, at a certain point, starts to lose touch with themselves, lose touch with who they really are at the core, and what feels natural. What is the natural way and aligned way of being for myself, for this other, for whoever. And so, one thing that's become actually really clear in just some recent sessions with people, and it's been a common theme over time, but really coming to the surface more recently, and I feel naturally in the mirror of my own experience, this has been a process that I have had to deeply move through and move into, to come into that acceptance and that real love with the natural flow of who I am and what this design naturally expresses. And one of those things has been really looking at the energy of recognizing that sometimes aspects of ourselves in which we condemn or criticize, or we get down on ourselves for manifesting in a certain way, are actually just inherent natural ways of our own being. And so, of course, if we're not in a place of acceptance, we are desiring to fix or change this aspect of ourselves that is just naturally manifesting in a certain way consistently. But because we have such a denial of that aspect of ourselves, there's just a constant resistance to this manifestation. So in the example that was given, and something that I can certainly resonate with, was a real sensitivity to environment. Some of the people in which we were doing readings with have a real sensitivity that's very laid out in their chart very specifically. Similar to myself, there's a deep sensitivity to certain types of environments and certain interaction landscapes in which I would just simply rather not be in or not be interacting with at certain times. And what was occurring for these individuals was a real condemnation of the sensitivity and a desire for the sensitivity to not be there. And of course, thinking that this is going to make their life better, or they're going to be more resilient in their experience. And in a certain way, we always can come to balance with recognizing that we are not at the mercy of our design. We are still here to rest in a silent perception, which means simply understanding that, of course, our design can be in a certain way, but life can also be in a certain way as well. And as we ride the balance and the middle way, we can really not get too rigid with even a system like human design. And yet, at the same time, if we're immediately jumping to every time we feel any sort of discomfort in our body, or any sort of thing where we may be feeling the pressure from other people, the resistance from others who are certainly and likely not living in their design, and feeling the pressures of that judgment or feeling the pressures of that resistance, and it causing us to desire to fix or change our design in a certain way, although that's not what the mind is going to perceive. That you're just going to think it's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you that has to be changed, and if it's not changed, then again, there's something even more wrong with you. And this is kind of the trap of personal development and personal growth as a whole, where even without human design as a system to be utilized for self-acceptance and for coming to a recognition that sometimes and many times a lot of the things in which we're desiring to change so badly about ourselves are actually just inherent natural, a part of our inherent natural template and design. And of course, as long as we come to balance with recognizing this inherent nature of ourselves, we can really see that in so many ways we are just simply along for the ride. We are not necessarily here to control all the mechanisms of our experience and change all the aspects of ourselves. It's really a process of self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-love. And this is really what I have seen human design to have the capacity to continue to do in so many deepening layers. And it's like so many onion layers continue to be revealed with a system of this nature, especially if you're intertwining it with traditional practices of self-awareness and emotional healing, and coming to an awareness of the multidimensional elements of yourself, which you see that this physical reality that we have, that so many at times may want to control and manipulate, is really the product of so many layers of our energetic anatomy and so many dimensions of our experience that are unseen and many times we're completely unaware of. And so this is really the invitation when we begin to live in alignment with our strategy and authority, is we come into deeper levels of alignment with many layers of the dimensional self. And for me personally, having a completely open ajna, I feel very adept at being able to weave many different concepts and teachings and systems together. And that's much of the way in which I present it, because even human design is not the end all be all. It is one path among many, and there are many different systems in which we can use on this planet at this time, and available on the internet and available for many teachers, that can intertwine and interweave many different perspectives and teachings in which have been existing for thousands of years, that give us a deeper look within ourselves and a deeper look at how reality is created and how we really can become aligned with the natural fluidity and natural flow of our experience, in which really manifests our signature essence, whether that's peace or fulfillment or real success or deepened satisfaction or surprise, if you're a reflector. All of this can manifest in different ways and to different degrees. So, I don't know what this video really was for, other than really to paint the picture even more about the importance of either getting a reading, getting your initial activation with the system, of having it imprinted into your energy field so that that process of deconditioning can occur, especially with, the cells in our body taking generally 7 years to completely readapt to something new. 2027 is the mutation within human design, where we will come more deeply into a higher energy body. So it being 2020, this is a perfect time for that to occur. So whether you're just new to that, that's obviously the recommendation. Then naturally, even if you've been in human design for some time, some people, I haven't come across too many people who do not resonate with their initial reading, but sometimes that occurs, or sometimes we're confused about certain aspects of our chart. And, in my experience, it's really about continuing to move through those layers. And as you move through those layers, this is really where I feel, you start learning the same lessons over and over, but in so many deepening ways. And, you continue to refine with detail how aligned you can be and how much it really feels so good to feel in alignment with yourself, feel natural, and feel at ease and in contentment. And this is really the name of the game. So I'm going to leave it there. It's always a recommendation to dive deeper to see where your experiment takes you. But leave in the comments how your experiment is going and what's going on. Love to hear. Deep love. Peace.